stuff, and we can't really see what's out there, right? But there's telltale signs from what washes up, right? So first of all, we have two pieces of green algae here. This is called sea lettuce. Lettuce because it looks a little bit like lettuce, right?
Seaweed.
Well, we need to understand a little bit more than just seaweed. So these are algae, and the green algae grows at the shallowest water because they require the most light. Okay. The next step down are the brown algae. That's the biggest band, and that's probably the most species around here. We have a big one here. You can see how long it is. It attaches down to that end, and it grows to this. Then we've got a lot of sort of leaves up here. That's called kelp. Okay, and this is actually a small one. There's another piece of kelp here. It's another small one. And the reason why they wash up is that they attach to a rock that's not big enough, or it's not a cliff, and then the wave sort of, this is just drying out. Now, all of these here have air in them. Okay, so that means that the algae is producing a gas, because if there's an air bubble here, then it automatically floats, right? So a lot of these brown algae have various kinds of organs. And here's another one, right? So you got a string of little bubbles. Well, obviously it's going to hang like that in the water column, right? So they're pretty slick, right? Another brown algae here. There are all sorts of other types of algae, so you can see that we must have an enormous amount of species out there, right? We have about 10 different species here just from looking at it, and there's a lot more out there, right? Then we have, at the very deepest end, we have red algae. And the red are the ones that tolerates the least amount of light. They can handle the least amount of light. Okay? So we have signs of that. We have a little sort of cluster of organisms here that grow. We have, there must be crabs out there, right? Somebody lost a leg. Here's a tiny little piece of a tube that usually comes in big clusters. They're about this long. So those are the big worms that sit and fan out and filter the water. Okay? So this is just a little tube that broke off. And they're out there fairly deep. There are several feathers here, right? So that means that this is white and gray, so that's from a gull. So obviously they must be here at one time or another, right? Otherwise we wouldn't have these things. Piece of string, huh? There must be humans around, right? Even if you come out here by yourself, right? There's also stuff washing off that comes off ships, right? We're just about to receive all that tsunami debris. It's coming on shore now here from Japan for about a year and a half ago, right? It's coming on board, and it has a lot of foreign organisms on it that we're really trying the best we can that they don't settle in. Okay? So big chunks of barges come in, and they're filled with organisms that do not belong here. There's a cormorant flying right there. So there's lots of signs of So some of these organisms here, like the kelp, is only found here in the Pacific Northwest. This algae here, it often has sort of like a two prong. It almost looks like a little heart. This is a brown algae that is incredibly common. So if you follow the coastline up to Alaska, all the way over to Japan, you follow it all along Siberia, go all the way to Northern Europe and to Maine, it's found everywhere. Okay? So this is very, very common algae. And the productivity of these things are really, really important for the bottom of the food chain, right? These are the ones that are photosynthesizing, building the biomass. They are also cleaning the water. All of these filter feeders and all of this stuff helps clean up the water. That means that that translates into ecosystem services, as we've talked so much about, right? So if we pollute that water, we lose those services. Right? It's really, really critical that we continue to have that. So, any questions on that? And by the way, what's out there was a seal. It's a seal, and the reason why you can tell it's a seal and not a sea lion, you can't see it. It doesn't have any visible ears. Right? It's also easy to see when once they go on land, and because sea lions stand up. So when they're swimming like that, whether they have ears or not, that's the most easiest thing to diagnose. So it's probably just a common harbor seal or something like that. All right, so let's go up to the estuary.